This video is in addition to a video that I did earlier in September, I believe it was, and many of you spoke out and were excited to know that I was going to do a video about what you don't know about your rights. When I prefaced that video in a video prior to that, stating that I was going to start dropping some really thought-provocative material, and what you don't know about your rights that came before this one sort of opened the door to where we are, what position we are in the world, and it's really to get you to think. And even though this video talks about 5 subjects wrapped all in one subject, it's still about what you don't know about your rights, or maybe what you do know about your rights but you choose or simply ignore. So this sort of segues as it were. Let me back up. The one prior to this one segues into this particular video. Now I'm going to talk about real briefly now, and I want you to do your homework, to do your fact checking. Would be beneficial to you. Unfortunately, we live in a world that's controlled by a small percentage of people or individuals that actually run the world, the masses. When did we ever believe that these individuals that control the world, or even our country, ever intended us good? Ladies and gentlemen, we are living in a matrix. I brought that point out before in the earlier video. Many of us are in an illusion as to what reality really is. Some of us are delusional, thinking that what we believe is reality is truly reality, when in fact it's what you want to believe reality is. First of all, we have to come to grips with what's really going on factually, and stop falling for the okie doke. Stop accepting everything that someone says or shows you as being the absolute utmost truth, unadulterated, when it's not. You have to put on your big boy pants and your big girl panties, whoever you are. And I know that there's trolls, commonly referred to, those individuals who don't mean us any good at all, who are going to come in and try to throw shade at us, and they're going to talk down on videos such as this because they are in denial, or they want to destroy our work as it relates to us trying to disseminate good information, factual information, meaningful information to the masses as much as we possibly can. But there's powers that be that don't want that to happen. And as long as I'm here, God willing, I am going to continue to do it. So I'm going to touch on one, starting out. Food manufacturers. Do you really believe that food manufacturers are putting out food that's healthy for us? It doesn't mean that real food doesn't exist, because it does. If it didn't exist at all, there'd be mass death all over the planet. So food does indeed exist. But what also exists is industries that have to put out so much food to supply the population that they alter the food. Oftentimes, to keep it on the shelves longer, there are processes that food undergoes for the retardation of the food to prevent it from spoiling while it's on the shelf so that it stays on the shelves longer. And so these things and these methods that they use to keep the food colorful, appealing to the eyes, and even smelling good and tasting good, they compromise the integrity of the food itself, all for profit. That's just one thing for you to think about. So with this processed food that we are receiving in our grocery stores, which is the majority of the food that we receive is packaged, anything that has ingredients is not real food. You don't grow anything out of the ground with ingredients. It comes as nature has brought it into the world. So there are going to be, how should I say, side effects maybe? There are going to be some negative reactions to eating something that's not biologically acceptable by our biology, our bodies, in other words. So, excuse me for peering off. I'm watching my door to make sure I don't have a customer coming in because I'm at work. But anyway, our bodies know what food really is. But our mind, our senses, have been messed with, if you will, by scientists in a laboratory. They begin to create things that look like food, smell like food. They've taken parts of food and added other things to those things to make it taste good, smell good, look good. But these things cause cancer and even disease in the human body. So that brings us to the next thing, the medical industry. That's number 2. Do you honestly believe that the medical industry wants you to be healed, wants you to be whole, wants you to be healthy? This is not going to sit well with many. You know why? Because we've been made to believe that they are there to help us. It doesn't mean that there are not people who are genuine in the nursing field and in the medical and doctors field, as it were. It doesn't mean that their intentions are not well. It means that the industry in which they serve and work in has a different agenda. It is to keep us sick. And there's billions and billions and billions and even trillions of dollars to be made off of people who are sick. Because if you heal people, the people who are in the industry don't make money. They lose doctors, nurses, radiologists, specialists, and they lose patients. They lose jobs. You get the big picture now. You see the elephant in the room. If people begin to miraculously become healthy, there's going to be a big financial cut in the industry, and they're not going to have it. You know why? They make money off of us being sick, not us being well. So the whole system is predicated on us being sick, not being well. And when you're taking pharmaceutical drugs, does the term side effect mean anything to you? If it's good for you, why is there a side effect? Food doesn't have side effects. Food doesn't, not real food, it doesn't have side effects. It does what nature intended for it to do. It nourishes us. It rebuilds us, our cells. It strengthens us. Okay? That's number 2. Number 3, the educational system or industry, institution. Instead of education, I'm reading this off my notes, they attempt to indoctrinate us instead of educate us. They teach us what they want us to know. When's the last time you used algebra or trigonometry or calculus after you've graduated high school and even college, unless it's a specialty, a job that you've gone into. Still talking education. Have you ever been told, have you ever been taught, and I say this passionately, has anyone ever been taught how to be an entrepreneur in elementary, junior high, or high school? Have you ever been taught how to be your own boss? No. We've been taught how to work for someone else. We've been trained and programmed how to work for someone else to make them money. All of the big corporations, all of the major stores, all of the major industries. We've been taught and trained how to make money for them, not for us. So we're exchanging our time for money instead of us learning how to be the person in control. I'll stop on the education for a moment, but I'm going to say this also before I continue on the education. Have you been encouraged to go to college when you graduated high school? Once you graduate, what do you have? Masters, bachelors, associates, a doctorate. Whatever you have you ever worked in the capacity in which you majored in? Don't everybody raise their hand at one time, because I know many people that have gone to college, that have graduated college, that are working in restaurants as I'm speaking, factories as I'm speaking, grocery stores as clerks as I'm speaking. Isn't that sad? And then all they have to show for it outside of that, living from paycheck to paycheck, all they have to show for it is debt, college loan debt, until the day you die, until the day we die. Does that sound a little bit scammy to you? Now, I'm not dismissing college. College has its place, but college is a trap for the vast majority of people. Now, let's leave there for a moment. Let's go to church. In church, in most instances, we are making the churches rich. Not talking about the little bitty churches. I'm talking about the medium-sized to large and even larger congregational churches, the mega churches. These churches raise hundreds of thousands of dollars annually and millions of dollars annually from us through offerings, through tithing, pastors, church anniversaries. But where does it leave the members? Are the members poor? Especially in the medium-sized and smaller churches. Are the members still poor? The scripture says that the poor will be with us always. But if you're in the church, shouldn't the church sort of help you out? I'm not talking about begging as far as parishioners is concerned. I'm just talking about when you fall down on your luck, lose your job, you are a widow or a widower within the church. Aren't they supposed to help you on some level? Now, I'm speaking from personal experience, ladies and gentlemen. I've been ordained since 1981. Still am, until the day I die. And that comes from up there. So now, when you pay tithings, I know Malachi 3:8, will a man rob God, but ye have robbed me? And he said, wherein have ye robbed thee? And he said, in tithes and offerings. What's the purpose of the tithes, which is 1/10 of your income, right? What's the purpose of the tithes? To put in the pastor's pocket? To buy him or her a brand new car every 6 months to a year, 2 years, or a home? Send them on cruises and so forth. And those things have their place, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is this. What state of affairs are the members of the church in versus the luxury that the pastors are in? Just something to think about. Where's your money going? And while I'm on the subject of church, ladies and gentlemen, those who attend church, do you read your own Bible? Or are they just standing at the pulpit preaching to you and you never pick your Bible up with comprehension and or understanding? Or you just following what they say and you never take it home with you? You never research line upon line, precept upon precept, here a bit or a little and there a little, studying to show yourself approved, rightly dividing what? The word? Are you doing that? Or are you just buying what the pastor says just because he or she told that to you? You got to do your own work. You have to do your own research. You have to study for yourself. You follow? And the Old and the New Testament both have a place. You don't read and study out of one part of it at the exclusion of the other. And then there's books outside of the Bible as you know it. There's other information. There's other truth as well. Are you doing that? Are you on a journey learning? I know what I'm talking about. I've been doing this the vast majority of my life. So we talked about the church. Now let's talk about the banks before I leave. You keep your money in the bank? Do you keep all of your money in the bank? Shame on you. Banks are private institutions. The purpose of the bank is to help build itself within, not to benefit you. Now, under the guise of helping you and myself, or all of us, the bank says, well, of course it's convenient. You can cash your check. You can have direct deposit. It seems convenient. But are you losing on some level? The banks make their money from loans, and the banks make their money from fees and interest. Have you ever calculated how much the bank makes versus you? Not that you're supposed to be on the same level playing field. It doesn't work that way. They're the institution that you are utilizing, but you're going to pay for it. Now, why is it that when you put $100, for example, in your bank account, let's say your savings, right, and you have to maintain a certain balance, $100, $150 in a quarter, and if you don't, they take $8, $10, $15 out for not maintaining that balance in there? Why should you maintain the balance in the bank? Because they want to benefit off your account from interest, right? But they punish you at the same time. But I thought they were supposed to be there for you. Why is it you have to pay for virtually everything in the bank? Why is it that when you bounce a check or you have insufficient funds, even for $1, you charge $35, $40 for $1? And then you'll hear this message from your banking representative. Just make sure in the future, Mr. Jones, that you keep enough money in your account so you can avoid the fees. Do they really care? I had many years ago, thank God it was many years ago, there was a time when my account, and I was a regular customer every single day, going to the bank, transactions. My account was overdrawn $1.75, and they charged me $45 overdraft fee. And they were not going to relent. They were going to charge me that regardless of how hard I protested. And so I spoke to the manager. He said, well, Reginald, we've got to charge you something. I'll tell you what. I'll charge you half of that. Can you talk about greed? That's indeed what it was, greed. That's not the only incidents that I ever experienced with the bank that made me see them for who they really were. But let me tell you this, as far as banking is concerned, or money is concerned, ladies and gentlemen. Don't put all your money in one place. Spread it out. Even if you have to keep some physical money, do that as well. Even if you have to buy gold and silver, do that as well. But don't trust that one institution. As the old expression goes, don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you do, and it collapses, or someone you owe a debt to, and they garnish your wages from your bank, guess what? You've lost everything that you have. Think on these things. This is Brother Teacher. So all of this does coincide with what I told you before. what you don't know about your rights. You see, you have a lot of rights. You have a right ultimately to choose where you buy your food and your clothing from. Even if you grow your own, you have a right to do that. Where you bank and how you operate as far as your finances are concerned, and how you deal with your health. Your health. Making sure that you eat properly. Those things that are healthy to you for real, and not all of the processed stuff, not all of the genetically modified things that they have so graciously given us. That you watch out for the pharmaceutical companies, especially the things that you control over the counter. Stop putting them in your body. They're doing us more harm than good. Stick to nature. That's what I'm really telling you in this video. I hope that this was beneficial to you. I'm sure it was. And if it was, indeed, please give me a thumbs up. Please share this information. I speak a little fast sometimes. All depends. But look at the value of what I'm giving you. You won't find it every day. And everybody doesn't do it. But as long as you have me here, please copy, share, and archive this information. And go back to it often. It's going to save your life, potentially. This is Brother Detriment. I'm out.